welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. This is our final race start of February on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's time to go racing. All our riders
has unleashed the power on Mount Fuji today. He's going to do the double he won in Alula, in qualifier 3 in January. He's going to win in Alula, category 6 for qualifier 1 in February. Dylan Kennett is the winner in category 6 today. Budron in category 6. They were the first riders out of the start pen today. Budron is going to be the first rider underneath the finish line. He's going to take the win today in the category 6 race. The chase is on behind and the sprint is opening in category 5. It's Cridland, Agadello, Siddle and Tortoretto. Budron comes underneath the banner to take the win in category 6.
It is the final qualifier for February for 2025. It is race number 3 for February. And your winner coming over the line, Dylan Kennett in category 6.
They've come close at times, but Simon Betts has ridden away from Henrik van der Zandt today in category 4. Betts is going to take the win. He's going to be the first rider today on the Sunday Race Club February final underneath the UCI banner. Simon Betts, your winner in category 4.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مشاهدينا الكرام متابعينا في كل مكان، أهلا وسهلا بكم.
والفئة الثانية الآن في هذه اللحظات تنطلق على بركة الله. محمد العلمي المغربي متواجد وقراءات هذا الدراج 350 واط في الانطلاقة الأولى الزون الخامس، وينطلق أيضا فيليب جريفز وكان كاين إيريك كاين، أيضا أسماء كثيرة والأعداد كبيرة ما شاء الله. سانتياغو وبرناردو نيكول كانسار الآن يتقدم. لويس ريدلي الآن يتقدم أكثر وأكثر. 3 ثواني يقوم بالابتعاد في هذه اللحظات. 546 واط مع مايكل في. مايكل يفضل أن ينهيها منذ الصعود الأول ويبتعد منذ الصعود الأول لمرحلة من مراحل المايوش في العلا اليوم لمسافة 47 كيلو و800 متر. ألف مبروك. والآن الاحتفالية بهذا الفوز الأول لداليان النيوزيلندي الأمريكي ماهر بودران بأول فوز له في الفئة السادسة وبطل السباق المرحلة التأهيلية الثانية، القميص المنقط وأيضا القميص الأصفر لهذا الأمريكي.
النهاية بالنسبة الآن للفئة السادسة، أول الواصلين الفئة السادسة حاليا. هذه الفئة السادسة وديلان هو بطلها.
والنهاية الآن النهاية لسيمون بيتس والمركز الأول للفئة الرابعة لأول مرة الألماني، والفوز والاحتفال بالفوز المركز الأول والقميص الأصفر. نهاية السباق للفئة الرابعة.
So hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, to our men's qualifier race number 1 for March. It is the men's race that I am going to be kicking off solo. My name's Matt Payne and we'll be joined by Emma Martin. She's currently bringing live the women's race. If you want to watch that, do join and have a watch of that after the men's race. It's Ramadan, of course, so I must say Ramadan Mubarak to everybody who is celebrating Ramadan. It runs right the way through March, and that does mean that we are at a different time to our normal time. And in March, we've got some big changes as well in terms of categorizations for the men's races, with some changes in those dynamic boundaries that mean that we have got different race fields. It is a 4 qualifier month as well. So it is 4 qualifiers, the first of which is here in Arabia. This is a relatively new race route for us here today. We finished actually in the Yas Marine. It's based on the 7 Gems route, and we have 4 sprints, 1 climb. Each of those segments, fastest through the segment, taking away a prize. There's an overall prize for the best climber and for the best sprinter. And in that climb, that means if you take away the sprint up the Liwa climb, because it is only 1 kilometre long, you'll also take away the overall points for the win and take away that title overall. Big prize money across all of our race categories, equal in the men's and women's races, and each category the race winners, of course, taking away the prize. So today's race route, 50.3 kilometres long, 351 meters of elevation. And this month we are here in Arabia. We go to Japan next week. We're in Alula for qualifier 3, Colombia for qualifier number 4, and for the finals we're going to be in California. That's the plan at the moment. Let's hope it stays that way. 6 race starts to get away here today. We start with category 6. They go ahead of category 5, so our standard race category. And as you can see, category 6 lined up on that race start. Now, this is a big race for this. Going to be 43 riders down on our race start list here today. And because we have got those shifts in categories, it does mean we've got a big move through. So category 5 dropping down into category 6. Category 4, a number of riders dropping down into category 5. Category 3 also seeing some movement down from category 2, so people shifting from categories, moving down through those categories. It is spreading. The aim here is to spread out those race fields a little bit more competitively across the series. Now, it is time for the first wave to go away. First qualifier of the month here on the Sunday Race Club, and away go our riders. You can see blasting out from the rider pens, and at the moment, this is a fast old start. They are away. 5 minutes later, we'll see these riders, category 5, take to that race start. So they have a similar number of riders to the riders in category 6. But as you can see, the main pack here very quickly up to speed, 40 kilometers per hour as we make our way out and along the boardwalks. So out on the boardwalk, heading out on race route, making that left-hand turn here. It is going to be Dylan Kennett, the man that we saw featured in those rewinds that we're in with at the moment. You can see he's nicely tucked in this group in category 6. So let's run you through some of the riders who have moved into this group. Moving in from category 5 into category 6, Christian Hofbeck. We've also got David Milano moving in as well. John Bach, Julio Arrego moving through. Osmar Vass, Robert Cronje, Sean Driscoll, and Stephen Yates all moving into category 6, joining the existing riders. And there are a number of riders who've moved up as well from category 6. So Teron moving from 6 to 5, so he's no longer in this race category. It'd be going to be interesting to see how many of these 9 riders who've moved down from category 5 are competitive in this. There is an overlap always between the performances at the front of one category and at the back of another, just depending on how the race evolves. At the moment, 1.2 kilometers into our race route, 9.2k to our very first sprint. That's the Abu Dhabi sprint, and that sprint 200 meters long, and it means that these riders really can settle into racing for that overall on their first kick out from the line. It is an undulating route, as you will have seen from that course profile, with that big dip just before the Liwa climb, just dropping down into the low point of the course. But as we make our way here around this long sweeping left-hand turn at the moment, heading into towards the Ferrari world here, you can see this packed together. Just in with John Bach, who is nicely tucked into this group. And if you are new to MyWhoosh, to the Sunday Race Club, if maybe you don't ride on MyWhoosh, well, let's have a quick run through of what you're seeing. At the right-hand side of your screen, on the top right-hand side is the course profile. The white line is the course profile, the indication of the terrain. The vertical yellow line, that is the rider's position, and the course runs from right to left from the outside of the screen in as we move in through. When you see that moving across, that's when you can see that profile changing. The riders that we are watching on the right-hand side of the screen, those are the different riders that are around the rider that is featured, which is the rider with the blue band of the blue mark. In the case of category 6 on the right of your screen, that's Frederick Schoberg. The rider's stats are always shown at the top center, and on the left-hand side, irrespective of what category, that is the radar view. One category away, we still have 5 sets of riders to leave the pen. Each of our categories with a different coloured jersey. Category 6 with that purple jersey, the riders first to leave. And then it works its way through the light blue of category 5, the red of category 4, the dark blue of category 3, the green of category 2, and the yellow of category 1. You will see, though, some of those riders will exchange their category jersey, which carries their category number on the back, for a sprint skin suit, and that's a full green skin suit for the sprints competition if they are leading in the sprints competition, and a polka dot skin suit if they're leading in the climbs competition. So that goes over the top and replaces their category jersey, but you do still get the number on the back so you can identify what category they are in. Today's race route, category 6, already at what is going to be 3 kilometers. We get down ready to set away. Our category 5 riders in the light blue, you can see that clock ticking down now, heading up for 20 seconds to go here. We're in with Malte Newman, one of our riders in this pack. Another big race field here today. 49 riders on the start sheet
from the list
for category 5. So we will see how they roll. We're going to see whether Brian White, who's moved down, Cirillo, or will it be Gomez as they head off from the start line? Will it be Zimil? He's moved down. So is Johannes. So is Justin Roy. They've all moved down. We've got existing riders who scored really well in the finals. Mohamed Mukhtari and Oswaldo Gaviria. He was 4th Gaviria in the finals last week. They are also in this race pack, but we've got some very strong existing riders as well. Just in with Hughes Jonas at the moment, the Canadian rider, nicely at the front of this group as they come out from the pens at the moment. So this group, it's all about getting into the draft, getting into the pack. You can see on the rider's number, that's the top center of your screen. You'll see we're watching Mohamed Mukhtari at the moment, a rider who took a top 5 in our finals last week in February. His watts at the moment are varying. They're in green most of the time, and that means he's in the draft. He's hiding out of the way, not having to push through the fresh air by going out of the front. If it is in the wind, if the rider goes into the wind, then that watts number will show in white. So white is in the wind, green is good because you're in the draft. You can see alongside that the elapsed time of the rider's riding, currently 1 minute 20 into their effort away from the start line. The rider's heart rate, well, that's self-explanatory. That's how hard their heart is beating to pump the blood around and keep them rolling. And then the cadence, or the revs per minute. At the moment, you can see that's going to fluctuate up and down as these riders try and stay in the draft, but not be detached off the back. So positioning really key. As category 5 in our light blue jerseys make the way in through their first few kilometers of this race start. In with Jeff Rooney at the moment, one of our regular riders on MyWhoosh, bit of a legend within the MyWhoosh community. Not only the first person to complete the everything, first person also to take away the downhill speed badges as well. Also a rider who is really inspiration for many of our riders. He's tucked in the blue riders on the left of your screen in category 5. On the right-hand side, this is Category 6. And at the moment, they are now approaching the 4.7 kilometre mark of this group. The lead group together, although we are getting one or two riders detached off the back, and you can see that on the radar view. It looks like your satellite navigation that you might get in your car or in your vehicle, but that section of the screen there, each rider represented by a disc of the relevant colour to their race category. So as the Category 5 riders on the left of your screen go through Ferrari World, on the right-hand side of your screen, we're on one of the rises, the undulating course here, really testing the rider's ability to react to the changes in terrain. That's really powering on as we go in with Jeff Rooney in Category 6 here. The pressure is on. They've dipped down. It's climbing back up here. And Rooney really working hard here at the moment, pushing on in this main group. He wants to make sure he stays in contact. He doesn't want to be caught out by any gaps opening between the front of this group and the back. It's going to ease back up. We're at 0%, but the pace is still hot here on the front. That little undulation has provoked a response, and at the moment the pressure on here in Category 5. Category 6, our base category. Category 5, the step above them, 4, 3, 2, all the way up to Category 1, our elite race field. So, Category 6, right-hand side of your screen. Category 5, bottom left-hand side of your screen. You can see we've got Category 4 now on the top right-hand side of your screen, going into their last minute. And Category 3, well, they are just over 5.5 minutes to their race start. So, our next riders away will be a Category 4. The Category 4 riders in red jerseys to indicate their race category. Another busy category. Now, 10 riders moving down from Category 3 into Category 4 as these race boundaries just change as we go into March. And that means that Bart van den Eekhout has moved down. Dorvan K. LLC has also moved down along with Edvard Caro. Emil Ivanov has actually moved up from Category 5 due to his fantastic performances. Alameda moving down. Kaplinski also moving down with Mayer and Spratt. So they've been recategorized into this expanded Category 4, Categories 4, 5, and 6, the boundaries dropping down, and that means that this is a big race field. 56 riders on the start sheets. Van Haren, Kirchner, and Giuliano, the other riders who have moved down through the race fields into Category 4 from Category 3. We're going to see how they stack up against the riders who excelled last month. Definitely watch out for Matteo Pino. He was 4th last week. Joseph Miller was an 8th in our finals last week. Joshua Haggerty had a great ride. He was in 3rd place. Henrik van der Zandt on absolute fire, as you saw in those rewinds. 2nd place last week and taking away the climbs competition. Definitely one to watch, but a much flatter route with less big climbs and more undulations all the way through. Will it suit Bouama? He's the rider that we are in with in Category 4 on the left of your screen. They have just left the pens. Category 5 further down the road. They are at 3.9 kilometres covered so far. And we're just in with Roshanraj Taron at the moment. He put in a great ride last week, and his performances in Category 6 means he's moved up into Category 5 this week. Interestingly, wearing the Jumbo Visma jersey there, that yellow and black jersey, the classic starting for that road team that we've seen out there. We saw the early season races with the UAE Tour, the Tour of Alula, and the Tour of Oman. In fact, on the early season for the Continental World Tour riders on the road. It's now starting to hit classic season. So although we are seeing a few of the stage races still, we are seeing definitely the classic starting, and Visma, of course, always in the mix there. Interesting, he's decided not to use the new aero helmets as well by the Visma squad, and quite rightly so. One of the nice things about riding on your indoor trainer or turbo trainer or indoor bike, it does mean that you don't need to wear a bike helmet. Although if you're riding outdoors, always recommend that. I bounced myself down the road on my head a fair few times. So, all right, it's out and away. And paying case category 6, 5, and 4 on the road. You can see at the moment it's just shy of 8K for category 6. It's just shy of 5K for category 5. Just under 2K for category 4, and that's where we're in with at the moment. Franklin Alameda at the moment, the rider that you can see in person on the left of your screens, focused in on the races here. The Brazilian rider took nicely in the very front of this group, nicely holding position. You can see as he puts the power down, just under 400 watts at the moment, as he pushes on this little riser where we saw category 5 and 6 working so hard up, and it was really splitting those groups. This category 4 group well together, and Almeida sitting in the draft, making sure he doesn't expend too much energy, but again, not losing too much ground through this race field as they come into this roundabout section. So as they go through category 4 on the road, category 6 making the way through past the 8.7 kilometre marker. It means there's less than 500 metres to go until the start of the first sprint, the Abu Dhabi sprint at 9.2 to 9.4 kilometres, 200 metre sprint. Fastest time through the segment will count, but because this is on a rise, we are also seeing action in terms of the race overall here. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen, the green arch is just starting to show up on the radar. It's going to be interesting to see how these riders respond as they go over the top here. Dylan Kennett at the moment winding up on the front. Milano, Boutvaz, Dotto, Olsen and Rago all trying to hold on to the wheels of Dylan Kennett. He's going to come into this sprint first, but he's using this climb to try and break lead. Now, this is an interesting move because he's going to come into this 200-meter sprint in the front of the race, but this is about the time through the segment. So who can get across the segment in the fastest time rather than who's first over the line. And in fact, generally it's about being the rider who comes from the back to the front and making the most of the draft. Just seeing going through there, Marius Fasaid, the rider who's going to take away the green skin suit in category 6 from the first of our 4 sprints here today. So Marius Fasaid, he takes away the sprint in category 6 as category 3. It's time for them to leave the pens. We're in with Luis Andrade at the moment as this huge field, 65 riders on the start list for category 3. It is our biggest race field of the day in terms of categories. And they are making their way out and away. Patrick Carlson in here looks like slid it nicely, tucked in over shirt in here as well. Nikhil Kansara looks like he has got himself safely away and off and away from start. So is Wozniak here. Kalman tucked in, Velez in here. Kochel doing the same. Mesa. Gianni doing a good ride here, kicking out nice and smoothly. One rider not in this group is going to have to work incredibly hard, though, to get back in touch, because the draft from this group will mean that it will pick up pace and it will drive on strongly from our race start. 600 meters in already. We're going over 40 kilometers an hour, and the riders at the moment really stretching that gap out as they head round this right-hand turn. Let's run you through the riders who've moved categories. So let's first of all talk about the riders who've moved up. Moving up from category 3, we have a move up by Simon Betts, who you saw on your screens in the rewinds earlier. Also, Wojciech Galuska moving up from category 4 to category 3. And those are the riders who moved up because of their performances. Riders who have moved down, we've got Arvin Godzari, Christian Montoya. We've got Daniel Tidholm, Jakub Bitko, James Harvey, along with Marcin Wozniak, all moving down through the race field. They join Patrick Carlson, one of our riders who has been in this category for a little while. And Carlson at the moment right in the middle of this group. They join the riders who have excelled. Velez, very strong, 3rd place last week in our finals. Mathieu Kalman, a 2nd place in the finals. Lewis Ridley, a 5th place in those finals. but some very strong riders here. Watch out for Eric Rimberg. And of course, Rimberg, one of our coaches on the MyWhoosh live coaching sessions. He's definitely somebody to watch. Damien Kiesnowski, definitely a rider to watch in this race group as well. We're just in with Patrick Bloom at the moment. Bloom nicely at the front of this group, just keeping the tempo high here. You can see him in person. On the left of your screen, you can see his avatar. On the right of your screen, he's highlighted in the blue bar. You can see at the moment around him, he's got some really good company. Velez, as we said, third in the race last week. You've got also right on his heels here, Karlstrom and Draga as well. Ivo Shaw, who been having some really good races. Bloom, though, looking smooth despite the chaos around him, as all these riders all were jockey for position, looking very comfortable at the moment. Bitco just pushing on those pedals out of the saddle. Here's got the top of this rise at 2.3k at the moment. Unit Yuka along with Yarvinen and Bitco on the front. Eric Rimborg definitely just keeping those gaps closed down. He's currently the third of the riders just coming into our screens at the moment, but this is still a good sized pack, although one or two riders struggling with the pace of that little climb have been distanced. So on a course that doesn't feature any big mountains, the attritional nature of these sort of repeated kicks and climbs, these little rises and falls, is what's going to do the damage. Bitco looking smooth, sat back down again, making sure he's covering these moves, staying in the draft as much as possible as he makes his way still nicely inside the top 5 at the moment in Category 3, their bottom left-hand side of your screen. So 2 categories left to go. Category 2 in the green, Category 1 in yellow. There are 2 sets of riders to go, just over 5.5 minutes till the first of those riders go. Categories 3, 4, 5, all the way through to Category 6, currently out on the road at the moment. The riders' position overall amongst all of the categories is the number that you can see alongside the nation's flag. So in with Ivo Shaw here, you can see he's currently rolling around about the 134th, 136th, 137th. So just rolling around in the middle of that. But remember, that includes categories 5 as well. Categories 4, 5, and 6, and 3 all away, and everybody all in that categorization. But groups on this road splitting. Ivo Shaw in the main group. His avatar is on the right of your screen, and over at the moment you can see with that towel over the bars there to protect the bike. The heart rate monitor on that gives us the data that tells us how hard his heart is working, how frequently that is beating. You see the fluids beside him there as well. Really, really key on the Sunday race topic, whether you're riding the women's or the men's race. Keep hydrated. There's no excuses that you can't get your bottle out of the bottle cage, or you can't carry enough fluids with you, or you need to go back to a team car, because of course this is cycling esports on MyWhoosh, and of course you can have around you wherever you want to hand all the fluids you need. So Category 6, right-hand side of your screen, these are the riders in the lead. They're the furthest up the road so far, 13.3k covered. They've got just over 5 kilometres, or just over 3 miles, until they hit the first major climb. Before that, they have a big dip down. We're just in with Daniel Dotto at the moment, the avatar on your main screen, the in-person rider on the left-hand side of your screen. The sun's shining in at the moment on Daniel. So we, of course, have our Ramadan timings. It's changed what time zone our riders are in. It has also, of course, been the point at which these new categories have been instigated. So Daniel Dotto here in Category 6 at the moment, being joined by 9 riders who've moved down from Category 5. The Category 6 riders leading our riders out. 5 minutes between Category 6 and Category 5. 5 minutes between Category 5 and Category 4. 5 minutes between Category 4 and Category 3. Then a 10-minute gap at race start between 3 and 2. And then back to our 5-minute gap between Category 2 and 1. At the moment, Category 3, you can see big kick coming up over this riser. Igor Bristolin at the moment out of the saddle. You can see all those avatars doing the same same here as they come up this rise, drop down, raise up, drop down, then raise up. Really is kicking on here on the Sunday Race Club here in Category 3. They're 5 kilometers in to our 50.3k race, and at the moment there is certainly not a lot of rest for these riders because of the changing nature of the course. 15 metres of ascent so far covered for Igor Bristolin as he makes his way through here. It's not the course with the least elevation this season. It actually has the the fourth highest, or second from the bottom, in terms of elevation gain on the course here today, with those 324 meters. The least elevation will be on qualifier number 3. That's 250 meters of ascent. The most elevation comes next week on the Alula reverse course. That's 515 meters. Well, at the moment, Category 6 currently approaching 15k of racing. Category 2 about to take to a race start, so our penultimate race category. You can see that we have got our race teams in here. We've got the Abu Dhabi team, the CD Racing team, the Smartest team, the UAE Falcons team, and the UAE Clan team. The UAE Clan team with SS taking a second place last week. Absolutely phenomenal ride by him all the way through the racing. Jakob Bjorklund will be racing in Category 2. He took the sprints competition. Peter Milosic, who took 4th last week. And Phil Graves, who took 5th at the riders in Category 2. A number of those riders are moving up into Category 1. In Category 2, they are joined by a number of riders. 4 riders gone up, 4 riders have come down. So 4 riders up into Category 2, 4 riders coming down into Category 2 as well. So a really interesting mix here. 53 riders on the start list. Coming down is Bruce Bird, Daniel Ratto. We also have coming down Stuart Miller and Vidal Mayer. Coming up into category is Rick Van Erck, so is Marco Santo and Bernard Wojnes, along with Nicholas Damsgaard. Matthias Van He, well, he's a regular in Category 2 and definitely a rider to watch on this course. He rides strongly on steep climbs. He's a rider who can really respond well, I think, to the changes in pace and cadence, and that is going to be critical today as we get ready to go. It's time to go racing in Category 2 on qualifier race number 1 in March. Away go our riders in their green jerseys of Category 2. Remember, there's a green skin suit up for grabs for the most points through the 4 sprints. At the moment, the riders well up and away, and at the moment, Van He nicely tucked into this group of leaders as they kick out from those start pens. 0.3k cover, so 300 meters out from the pens. We're in with Stephen Delahouse at the moment. Just pushing his way in and through. Looks like they're going to come off the boardwalk onto the tarmac pretty much all together here, as we see Todd Allen Young, another of our regular riders in Category 2, pushing on here as they head up, out and away from our race start. We're just in with Iker Morel at the moment as we switch to Ivan Yuki, and one of our real regular riders when it comes to racing. Now, interestingly, change of scenery for Ivan Yuki today. We normally see him in one of the other rooms within the Abu Dhabi Bike Club. I had the pleasure of going to the Abu Dhabi Bike Club and meeting Ivan in person. My goodness, I think I was a bit fanboy at the time, but you know what? That's because he's a fantastic rider and a great inspiration to the riders. He's there in Wolfies, who have a concession in the Abu Dhabi Cycling Club. They also have their big store, and there was, well, that's exactly where we saw the rider intro and chat when we have the UAE tour, but that's just inside the doors. You walk into the Abu Dhabi Cycling Club, you can grab a coffee, you can grab some food on the right-hand side. On the left there, that's the Wolfies store, the concession within there, and all part of the amazing setup that is part of the Abu Dhabi Cycling Club on Hadariat Island. And in fact, we're going to the Hadariat course on qualifier race number 3, although it's going to be a little bit more elevation than you can put in on Hadaria Island at the moment. So category 2 underway. Pane Soyolanda, the rider who's gone clear. We're dropping in though with SS. Phenomenal ride by him last week. He's such an aggressive rider, and also a rider who really excels when there are multiple targets to aim at. And that is one of the things that we see from him when we have sprints that you can contest, when there are climbs that you can contest, and the overall. So when riders are having to have that multi-focus, he's definitely a rider who's able to do that. We saw him take away climb competitions. We've seen him take away sprint competitions. We've seen him take away top 3, top 5 positions. We've seen him take away wins. And today's course could be one that is going to suit him, but he's going to have to be attentive, because I suspect today in category 2, with such a strength and such a depth to the race field, having what is 53 riders in that race field, and so many strong riders in there, and you can't blink. You can't take your attention off for a moment, and if you get distance, you're going to get distanced real quick. So just dropping in with Bruce Bird at the moment. Bruce Bird from Canada, regularly riding with the Canadian flag in the side of him, and with that maple leaf, red maple leaf on the flag on his cap indoors as well. Currently in here, a rider who's a regular rider at the longer distances as well. So the Grand Fondo distances, those big multi-century kilometre races. And in fact, there he is. I like one of the things I really like about Bruce Bird is he's consistent in his riding kit when he comes on, proudly wearing the Canadian colours there as he sits in this group, focused on the racing, focused on the riding. I'll see where he ends up when we get to the end of today's 50-kilometre race. But it's time to set away our elite level riders, the top of the tree, what should be the fastest riders. We're in with Michael Vink, the Vinkinator himself. He is going to be riding for the Boss Moves Only squad. The Alpha Joe squad also have 4 riders in their squad. The Farm Watt squad also with 4 riders. But it is a big race field. 31 riders in this race field in category 1. So we have Vink, who took first place last week. We've got Tugels, who took second place. Great ride by him. We got a 4th place with the line of Justin. We got 5th place Michael Knudsen. 3rd place Stefan Van Els as well in this group. The last race, starting qualifier race 1, leaves the start pens. It is a March. It's Sunday Race Club. It's the men's race. We've got a world champion in here in Jason Osborne, and this is going to be a busy, busy day. In with them, moving up from category 2, our climb winner and winner of category 2 in those finals, Marcin Trojanowski in the mix. Can he mix it up? Can he stick it to the big guns here today? They're out from the start pens, and already a big push off from the start by Ricardo Panizza. He's the rider leading this out, being chased by Jason Osborne. We are only 500 meters into what is a 50.3 kilometer race, and already the pressure is on. Panizza, Osborne and Kroll leading out from the pens. We've got Gednes and Nair quickly up to speed onto the hills. It looks like all of those riders out and away. We're just in with Ricardo Panizza at the moment. A rider who's been riding very, very strongly over the last 2 to 3 months, really has come into his own on the Sunday Race Club, and nicely into this pack. Will it be Panizza's day today? Well, it could be anybody's day, because it is such a relatively flat course. There's no one big decisive climb. There are a lot of little undulations, a lot of constant climbing. And that is going to test all our riders from category 1 on the left-hand side of your screen, right the way through category 2, 3, 4, 5, and the riders on the right-hand side of your screen, which are our category 5 riders. They're at 19.9k at the moment, so not quite the half race distance. So Saeed Safrizadeh sits in this group, making sure he doesn't get distance in the first couple of kilometres. On the left of your screen, on the right-hand side of your screen, we're in with Mr. X100. We're part of that UAE clan team. Category 2 just approaching 5K. That's just ticked underneath their wheels, in fact, here, as this leading pack. Big pack here in Category 2 of 53 starters in Category 2, 31 riders on the start list in Category 1. Some really interesting riders joining Category 1 this time around, and we'll go dive in with those when we go across to Category 1 next. But really interesting to see these two different groups. Category 1 much more together. Category 2, the pressure really on here. You can see we've already got riders starting to ping off down the road as we go in with Jay Holweiler out of the saddle here, making sure that the group he's in, that's the main group, stays in contention. A little bit of a split forming just back from the first 3 or 4 riders in this group, as the riders have to work out who's going to respond. Big kick from Fawcett, Holweiler, Clement also the same, Nicholas Fourier doing the same, Paris Solyanda doing a good move, putting the pressure on. They're the riders on the right of your screen. We're in with one of our new riders into Category 1. And I'll tell you something, Marcin Trojanski, he was definitely not worried about coming up to Category 1 here because he's on the front. He's got a little bit of a gap to the rest of the group, so he's looking to take this race on quickly here. Marcin Trojanski, the rider clear of the Category 1 main field, being led at the moment, Chugles and Osborne, the riders leading this chase down of Trojanski. Trojanski, well, what a way to make your presence felt. Well, hello, everyone. I'm up in Category 1, and guess what? I'm going to have a kick off the front. I'm going to stretch my legs in those first few kilometres. So one of our newer riders in here. We have some returning riders as well. Ewan Mackey coming back on to the Sunday Race Club. Definitely a rider to watch out for. He's one of the riders joining us on the Sunday Race Club here in Category 1 that you won't have seen. I don't think since about 2024, I think was the last time we saw Mackie really in action. Trojanski at the moment just being closed down by Joel Lewis and Bjorn Andreasen, the former world champion, in the mix as they make their way down in along the roads here in Arabia, heading towards our first key sprint point. And that move closed down. Trojanski being shut down on the front of Category 1. So Category 1 at the moment at 3.7k, almost double the, well, just under double the distance into the race. Category 2 at the moment. You can see at the moment just in with Bernard Wojna, one of the riders who has moved up into Category 2. As we jump across in with Lucas Stasno, the riders at the moment 7.4k. Then you can see that Lucas Stasno, along with along with Bruce Bird, have gone on the offensive. Bruce Bird has gone for a long range. We know he's good at long distances. They have certainly stretched this out, as in Category 1, we've seen another kick on the front in Category 1. So it's all action in Category 1, left-hand side of your screen. There has been a move, and it's been answered, and while truly hasn't hit by the world champion, you see the white jersey of Jason Osborne, those rainbow bands on the front there are currently at the moment putting a little bit of a squeeze on. Kaminsky, Kroll, Vajesin come back across, but at the moment, Category 1 very frisky today with lots of riders kicking off the front. Category 2, 2 established leaders. Their gap at the moment 13 seconds back from Lucas Stasno of Poland and Bruce Bird of Canada. The chasing group behind, well, the pressure not on totally at the moment, still holding about 13 seconds or so between the chasers in Category 2 and the 2 escapees, as Bjorn Andreasen puts a little squeeze on in Category 1. It's I think it's really interesting when we have these changes of course. So a lot of variation. We've got a lot more courses. It feels like almost every week we see a new course coming, or certainly every month a new course coming into the Sunday Race Club, and a new race route, a new parkour for our riders. And certainly an interesting one here today in the men's race. 50.3k, 351 meters of ascent. And whilst that is a reasonable amount of ascent, it's spread over the entirety of the race route. And that is certainly going to make things very, very interesting. Because as these riders start to make their way in and through, they're going to be getting a real feel for this course. It's not a big, beastie climb that's going to separate these riders. It's going to be about who can make the most of these little rises, the falls, the changes, who's looking for the opportunities, who's got great racecraft, because I think that's going to be our key skill here today. Racecraft is going to be key. Now, Michael Kamiński racing out in the Polish Championships. Great performance by him. Congratulations, sir. Brilliant ride by him. So we always see those Polish Championships on MyWhoosh. And Michael Kamiński, another of our regular riders on screen. It's always great to put faces to the avatars. He's nicely tucked inside this pack. Will it be his day today out in the office? Is he going to have the legs to answer these attacks when they come? And they're going to come pretty quickly. Category 1, the last riders out of the pen at 6 kilometres in. Then Category 6 are the furthest riders down the road. Meanwhile, just taking a look here at the chase as we see the sprint coming in and through the 9.2 kilometre mark as Jakob Björklund sprinted in through there. We saw SS leading the chase behind our two escapees. However, at the moment, those gaps not coming down too much between those escapees, despite that big kick, that big sprint through. SS trying to get that gap down to our two leaders, Bruce Bird and Lucas Stasno. They're on the right-hand side of your screen, left-hand side of your screen, Category 1. So Category 2 on the right, Category 1 on the left-hand side. Remember, on the way through, we have 4 sprints and 1 climb out on course. And each of those segments are going to be rewarded as well as the overalls. Category 6 at the moment, well, they're our first riders up and away. They're about 15 kilometres into our race route. We're seeing the group splitting, a very fractured race and a very active race at the moment. You can see in Category 2 at the moment are 2 escapees who went early, Bruce Bird and Lucas Stasno, starting to be brought back into the fold here. SS very, very active in that chase, in pursuit. Hohweiler nicely tucked in here with Dan Damsgaard and Mayer in there. Remember, Vidal Mayer dropping down from Category 1 to Category 2. In Category 1 on the left-hand side of your screen, Martin Trajanski clearly got ants in his pants. He's very active. He's already been on the attack once already. He's come in. He announced he was here. He went on the attack. He got brought back. Guess what? He's on the move again. He really wants to keep this moving. And I think this is a really good tactic. He's racing to his strengths at the moment. We saw him go clear. We saw him get chased down. Panisa, Plantero, Van Elst all on the chase. Jason Osborne, the world champion, having to chase him down previously in this kick back across. So very active moves by the world champion here. Kamiński nicely tucked in that pack as well. A number of riders not showing their face too much on the front, maybe playing it a little bit more cagey on the way in through as Trajanski continues to push. So 6 categories away from race start. We have got all of our riders away. We've got a little bit of a gap opened up between Trajanski, Plantero and Vink on Category 1. It's a frantic race here today. When I left it, it was a frantic race in the women's race as they made their way onto the Kortkeer in Belgium. Emma managed to, I hope, watch the entirety of the race and put words to the action. She has hot-footed it across because we have 2 races, 2 different studios, 2 different countries for our commentary today here in English. My colleague from Full Speed Events and co-commentator Emma, welcome to the men's race.
No audio from Emma.
Okay, so I'm going to just jump over in the top here. Emma is going to be joining us very shortly indeed. She just hits the right knobs and faders. We're just watching our Category 1 runners just come through the sprint here. Massive kickoff from the front there, and you can see this prize really is going to be an important one here today as they kick through this straight at the moment. We're just taking a little bit of a look. That sprint lead has gone. I think that's going to be Paul Skierski who takes away the first of our sprint points at the front. The points are allocated at 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And that is where the points go. You can see on your screens your riders taking away the segment prize. Skierski in Category 1, Simmons in Category 2, Skierski Masiak this time in Category 3, Rocker in Category 4, Lasno in Category 5, and it's Fossier that we saw at the start of the show in Category 6.
Well, what can I say? But it is amazing to watch, and to come in from the finish of the women's race and to pick up here in the men's. I did put the YouTube channel on, and I was following the racing whilst I snuck a sneaky quick coffee in and waited for the machine to run before I picked up the microphone again and jumped into the men's race. But it is amazing to see the fast and furious nature of the men's racing. I can tell you, if you're watching the men's race and you've not seen the end of the women's, wait till the men have finished and then drop back in and watch the end of the women's race. It was fast and furious.
I can't wait to see that. That's my plan. Once we've finished the men's race here today, as you can see, our race category spread from 10 kilometres in for Category 1 right the way through to Category 6, who are the furthest riders down the race route at 27.6. They've completed their climb. You can see that Dylan Kennett taking away the climber's jersey, the skin suit, with one climb. There is a very simple competition. Win that segment. You don't only win the segment prize, but you also take away the overall. You can see here in Category 3, that is Nicholas Becker, who's got the polka dot skin suit. They're on one of these rises on this course here at 20k. And Emma, we've seen here in the racing on the men's race that the changes in the categories, it's like everybody has suddenly been fired up. Nobody knows quite where they stand in the categories, and so everybody's really going for it. Was that the same in the women's race?
Oh, yes. I can guarantee you it was the same in the women's race. It played out on the race course. And I tell you something, it's playing out on the chat boards as well behind the scenes, because everybody has got something to say about it. It is really, really interesting today. But it's really interesting to hear, Matt, that it is playing out a very similar way in this men's race that we're in with Ryan Dumer at the moment. And you can see the level of work going in to what he's doing in this Category 3 race. Has it been a bit like that since the start, Matt? I mean, I looked at this course and I went, oh, that is going to be aggressive and that is going to be fast, because there are no big, long climbs today for the men. But also with the recategorization, has both of those things come together to give perfect racing storm?
Pretty much. It's been a bit like that. Every race has seemed to, even if they set off steadily, there's been a real kick. And it suits riders like Ryan Dummer that we've got on our screen, actually, who are really good at not only just following their game plan, but responding when there's changes and having to dynamically adapt their tactics. So we are seeing that. I think probably the most almost predictable would have been Category 1, but for the fact that we're seeing Marcin Trajanowski making his presence felt as he's come up into Category 1. And I think it's that sort of almost shock nature that's almost sent Michael Vink into attack mode on the top left-hand side of our screens here, because Michael Vink is on the move, and I think it's just a response because we've seen him go clear and ride at his own pace. And because we're seeing these continual attacks in Category 1, it has really shaken things up. We're at 12.6k in. And I have to say, the constant attacking has really, really put people under pressure.
Well, we know Marcin Troyansky is just phenomenal in terms of making the play. And I love the fact that he's moved from category 2 to category 1 and is still taking the race by the scruff of the neck and trying to make the play. Ollie Jones, we can see there on our screen, part and parcel of the lead group. Cool, calm customer watching the racing so far?
Yep, Iceman living up to reputation so far. As you can see, looking super cool as always, and cool, calm, and collected. And I think one of the great things about this race route, when I looked at this during the week and was studying and sort of thinking how it was going to play out, which never seems to work out quite how I think it'll happen. But one of the things I thought about this was it really doesn't aid those riders who just have that better power to weight ratio on this course, because every time that they put a move in, our longest climb, which is a categorized one, is 1 kilometer. The rest of the time, there is just not that length of climbing. So even if they really power away on those ascents, they're not going to have those long 20-minute efforts
No.
they can open a substantial gap. Each of these groups can get closed down, and we're seeing that on all these race categories. So anyone gets a gap, it gets closed down, and I don't think it's helping the big established stars added to those changes in categories, etc.
But how brilliant! How brilliant! Different
Yep.
type of courses, different type of racing. And it makes it so exciting. I knew when I saw this course come out, I thought it is going to be such a great race to watch because of the nature of the racing that it is going to force. You know, the likes of, Michael Vink, where he says, I want a really long climb and I want to go away for an hour's time trial. Not possible. Absolutely not possible. Well, if it is, he's going to have to put in a superhuman effort and take everybody by such surprise that they were half asleep when it happened, and they're not going to be half asleep. Likewise, this category 2 race is looking really dynamic as well.
Yeah, the category 2 has been brilliant. I mean, there's been riders that we would expect to be right on the front. You know, SS has been there. You know, I was saying earlier on when you weren't here, he's the sort of rider that we see being active on courses where you've got multiple targets at the same time. So you sprint, your climbs, and your overall are all in play together. And we're seeing him right up at the front here with Ika Morel, Che Howeiler, Mr. X100. It really is a course that suits those riders who can respond. And we're seeing that across the board. We are seeing the number of riders being dropped, maybe just not used to the style of racing maybe that we get on this type of course. But I think for riders who really want to be aggressive, we're seeing this with Mr. X100 now, go on the front, put in a bit of an attack, put in that dig, try and get yourself clear. And it can pay off. And at the moment, we're seeing that time and time again.
Well, interesting. I am just going to drop back because you just mentioned Ika Morel. I'm going to welcome him to the live coaching family, coming on board on a Saturday. And his coaching session will be and is in Spanish. So if you are a Spanish-speaking rider who would like a Spanish-speaking coach, come and join Ika's session on a Saturday morning. Well, Saturday morning European time, that is.
Indeed. And as we watch Mr. X100 just go underneath the banner there, he is in the distance. He's dropped to the riders behind. They're now on the climb segment here. Fastest through the segment, of course, being the key thing here as we go on the climb segment. We're on the Liwa climb at the moment. 1K of climbing. 5%. It's a short, sharp climb here. Now, I know, Emma, you use a variety of courses as you go up on to the climbs and out and round on your training sessions. You use a variety of courses. I've ridden this a number of times on MyWhoosh, and I actually think this is a really nasty little climb because you hit it and it's a bit like hitting a wall. Your legs, because you haven't had lots of climbing at this point.
Well, I mean, the course is rolling. Let's not forget that there are little lumps and bumps rather than hills and mountains. And they do indeed stretch your legs and warm them up for this type of effort. But it is the only effort. And I have to say, because the categories are so well matched, and you can see here, look at the size of this category 2-pack. It's stretched, yes, but the polka dot banner is just around the corner. And the opportunity for them to come back together is really strong. They are so well matched that over 1 kilometre of effort, at an average gradient of 5%, these riders, they stay together.
They do. We've just seen one or two people just detached here who maybe were on the limit, but this is a big kick on the front. There's some serious gaps opening up the front of this group. But when we get to the top of this climb, there's a level section, then it kicks again. This is one of the things about this the Leeward Desert climb that makes it such a difficult climb, because you do this. We have got different segments on this climb and different on different courses. You do this kick up. This is just a short one. Vidal Mayer going up takes that away. One of those riders who's moved down from category 1 into category 2. He's kicked up there, forced it Dom Morella right up in the mix. But I think when you hit this second section, if you go too hard on the first part, if Mayer's gone too deep, he's going to get not only caught, but he could well get dropped on the second section, and that makes it tough. Interesting to see. We're seeing kicks on category 1 as well. Bjorn Andreasen, he's already been off the front already. He's already been trying to rip it up along with Trojanoski. But Bjorn Andreasen, former world champion on the move, just cleared the front of category 1 at 17, nearly 18 kilometres now. And their top left-hand side of your screen, bottom right side of the screen, category 6 at the moment. Pegasov for side at the moment with Kennett. Those 3 riders on your screens, that includes your sprint leader and your climb leader, have got a gap. And that gap at the moment is looking good. 12 seconds. And remember, this is a course where getting seconds is very hard.
Well, they've still got 12 kilometres to go. Anything can happen in that race. Though Kennett, Fossid and Pegasov, that's a strong breakaway. A really strong breakaway. So really interesting to see what happens in that category 6 race.
It is. And I think all of our race categories today going to be finding out, and I think that's one of the things that we're going to see. Finding out today, and of course in categories 2 and 3, just how it's going to play out with the new riders, with the new mix of riders. And of course we've got varying distances and amounts of climbing across the 4 qualifiers, and of course in our finals.
Well, can I just say, one of the things I really love about the Sunday Race Club is the fact that a lot of the riders have become friends, or were friends, or have raced before in the past, and all of a sudden have found themselves on the Sunday Race Club again. I say that because we were just in with Dylan Kennett. In fact, he is just off the front in the polka dot skin suit at the moment. There he is. Well, Dylan Kennett is friends with Michael Vink.
Okay.
Dylan Kennett sent me a very lovely little message last week that Michael Vink had sent him, of Michael Vink watching me and listening to me commentating on Dylan Kennett, talking about him climbing really well, as Michael Vink guffaws to the YouTube feed. I mean, honestly, it was out loud laughter about me talking about Kennett's climbing prowess. Those two obviously have known each other for a very long time. I understand they raced together many moons ago, and Kennett returning to racing after once being on the New Zealand track squad.
Well, as a trackie, he's going to love this repeated effort. Sprint, stop, sprint, stop, sprint, stop. But if he was a trackie,
I think he's had a little bit of time off since.
Yeah, I was going to say the climbing on the velodrome is just up the banking. Now, interesting to see here. There's some prizes up for grabs here, and Van Els has opened up the throttle here. He wants to take the prize for that climb. Vink, I think, had it, but it's gone to Van Els here, I suspect. I'm sure that's Van Els. It is. Stefan Van Els has got that, but a counter-attack comes straight over the top. So Stefan Van Els went hard. He took the skin suit and the polka dots on it for the fastest time up the climb. Vink didn't take that prize, but Vink has counter-attacked. The Category 1 race field is scattered across the Leeward Desert climb here. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen that we have riders in ones and twos off the back of the pack. And Van Els, the man who tops the leaderboard in Category 1, taking away the Liwa Climb prize in Category 1. He's off the back, chasing on to the group on part 2 of the climb. Each of your category winners of the Liwa Climb are on there. They'll also take away the overall prizes. So Kenneth, Sikora, Cadiz, Becca, Mer, and Van Els, your winners across those categories. They take away the category prizes in the climb segment and the overall climb competition for qualifier race number 1. Now, very interesting. We saw Van Els take the climb, but Jasper Paradies, who is not in the leading group, has clearly decided that he can now go and put in a big effort on the climbs. I have to say, this is a tactic that I have employed in the past. So when we were racing the Teesdale Mountain Time Trial, it had a climb segment in it. So 38 miles, so about 56k of mountainous terrain in the middle of the Pennines of the UK. And when I was racing well, I got myself a top 5 on there, no problems at all. But I wasn't racing as well, but I knew that I had enough in me to do a short climb. They had a climb segment. So I cruised around really slow, sprinted my way up the climb, took the climb segment prize and took that away. And that was just responding to what I could do. Jasper Paradine's doing exactly the same thing. Good lad.
Well,
I like it.
Yeah, I know, but Jasper Paradians, we would often associate him with a sprint, because he is a sprint king in category 1. But putting that sprint into action on the short, sharp climb, that's where a short climb pays off when you're a sprinter.
Yep, 100%. And it's that length of effort, the time it takes you to cover it, power to weight, is more important on the longer climbs. It's power when you're on those short climbs. At the moment, powering off the front, Bruce Bird, no surprises there, but he's got Walter, he's got for company. He's also got Mr. X100 on the move, Phil Graves on the move. That was category 2. This is category 1. Lionel Vajasin at the moment with Knudsen. Interesting move here on the front here by these riders. They have seen the groups fracture. They've seen the groups start to scatter on the first part of the Liwa Desert climb. They've kicked over the second part of it, which is not part of the categorized section. And now we're going to have a run through to the Sheikh Khalifa Mosque sprint. This will be very interesting because this will give us an indication of how they are rolling. That's on the left of your screen. Emma, right-hand side, it's all over the road.
Well, it is indeed. X100 is pushing on the power because Bruce Bird and Phil Graves are right behind him. I tell you what, Bruce Bird, he is such an aggressive rider and he's on such form coming off the back of the Canadian Championships. On the left-hand side of your screen, I'm looking at the Knudsen, Vujasin and Vink, but it is Safra Zaidi who is dialing it to try and come across. Now, that is also a really interesting race unfolding too.
It really is. And just watching Bruce Bird here coming towards Mr. X100, Phil Graves on the move, Walter in there. They're 4 really interesting riders and in some ways, very different riders. And yet they're all, as you say, really aggressive riders in their riding and always combative. The combativity award that's awarded in stage races is on the move here. If only I could understand sign language. Emma, what was Bruce Bird's message?
I don't know, but it's great to see him, and it's great to see him interacting with us as well.
Bruce,
and
send it on Instagram.
yeah. But it is fabulous. Now, I'll tell you something. Take a look at this. He is absolutely reeling X100 back in. X100 kicks again, but Bird is going to bring him back. Graves, the master of hanging onto the wheel. I mean, Phil Graves is always there or thereabouts at the finish, but quite often you don't see him unless it is a monthly final when he is actually active for his team. He's the master of hiding until the end. But X100, Graves and Bird, X100 is dialing this, and really interesting to see. Simon Walter is in that chase group as well, another strong rider, along with Ruben Dont. This is a great breakaway. Now, it's really interesting because for me, you sort of look at this and you go, what is X100 doing? He's got a small group of class riders that would make 5 in the breakaway group, that if they work together, they're going to extend the gap. So you sort of look at it and you go, tactics? What is he planning? Because all he's doing potentially is riding the legs off the chase group. Cam Winfield now, though, 14 seconds back, was just up at a massive watts per kilo, thinking he was going to bring it back, but then obviously changed his mind. 14 seconds. 14 seconds they've got. I mean, I would think if they work together as a group of 5, they'll get more time than if they're attacking each other.
Well, I've just taken a little look at the replay of the message from Bruce Bird, and it actually says X100 and a big thumbs up. So a big thumbs up and X100 from Bruce Bird, because obviously this is a seriously attacking move by him, and I think Bruce Bird enjoying the fact that it's super aggressive racing on there. Cam Winfield, I mean, a rider who, that's a rider you don't want to take to a sprint finish, a bit like taking SS to a sprint finish.
Oh, yeah.
Why would you want to do that? That's just
not
going to happen.
Do you remember his first win on the Sunday Race Club when he was on Wollongong in Australia and he took the sprint, and it was like by hundredths of a second he got his timing to perfection. You are quite right. It's not a rider you want to take into a sprint anywhere. Well,
let's take a look
is...
at our course here today as we go to Arabia here. And the sprint at the end of this could be very, very interesting indeed, because I think this could come down to some group sprints, because a solo breakaway is very, very hard to do on this course. Emma, we are currently, I mean, the riders we've seen Category 1, they're already through that Leeward Desert climb, and that was decisive. After the Sheikh Khalifa Moss sprint, after sprint number 2, we've got another riser, and it's another stepped riser that could break this apart. But because we're seeing, and it's showing in the other categories, small groups away, it may be not quite as decisive. And actually the aim of these riders will be to stay in groups rather than to break the groups up with what they've got left between there and the finish.
Yeah, I think you're quite right, but it's really interesting, isn't it, that the midsection of this course is where the most climbing is. I mean, there's only 351 metres of climbing across the 50.3 kilometres. This is the least amount of climbing ever on a men's Sunday Race Club, I think.
Until
yeah, you don't go until. I don't want to know about the future.
You don't want to know about, I won't tell you then. I'm sure we will see another flat one. In fact, I'm sure we have had a slightly flatter race in the past, but you've got to go back to 2021, if I remember correctly, because we had some very, very fast races then. And I think there was one which had like one bump in it. But it's a long time ago.
Well, there we go. Over the last 2.5 years, this is the flattest race we've had. But I tell you something.
Distant prehistory, I think it was, Emma. I think so.
It is forming a brilliant race here. Jones, Tugels, Pucker, Kaminsky, Van El, Safra Zaidi, all in this group at the moment, and they are the chase group in Category 1. Knudsen setting the fastest time at the moment through the sprint in Category 1. By no means the fastest time at all. In fact, the slowest time at the moment in Category 1. Simmons, Category 2. Skierski, Category 3. Valencia, Category 4. Lasno, Category 5. And Fossid, Category 6 are the sprint winners of that. Results are currently live. We may indeed see someone come through in a latter group in Category 1 and take away Knudsen's time.
Well, it's there for the taking, isn't it, at 15.7 seconds. And for me, Jesper Paradians is prime rider to do that as they go through that section. For me, this is really interesting. We're seeing groups break and come back together again. Now, Lennon with Justin, Michael Knudsen, Michael Fink at the lead of Category 1 on the left-hand side of your screen. Lead of Category 2 at the moment, right-hand side of your screen. Mr. X100 has currently got a little bit of a gap here to Bruce Bird and Simon Volter. And this is real aggressive racing. We're on a riser here at 29.9K. This is a bit of a kicker here. And the one thing about all these kids, they don't go on for very long, so you can really dig in deep on them. And I think they're going to reward those riders who in groups, although they know that they're battling for places against each other, will be very interesting to see how they ride when they are on the chase or when they are moving, because that is going to be really, really key. You are going to want to push all the way together, and yet at some point you've then got to choose to race individually.
Race individually. Wow.
Well, you have to, even if it's only for the last 5 meters. I mean, we saw that first classic. I'm not going to give, this almost, for me, this course is a bit like the classics, the first classic of the season that we've seen. And that is where we saw riders breaking away, riders trying to bridge across, just Harlan doing the same, shoving his way down hard, trying to get across the gaps. And then we saw it come back together again and come down to a sprint where a surprise sprint winner came in. And I think this will be the same sort of course where you've got to work together until you get into those final few meters, because gaps are going to come back together. You can see this here. This is our chasing group here in category 4, who are really pushing on here, Bua Murin here, but they could easily pull back a substantial number of riders just by working together, and the riders in front not working.
And I think you've mentioned 2 things in that final section there, Matt, that are really key. One, riders in groups working together, and B, other groups playing cat and mouse with each other, and one is dependent on the other and has no control over it. So actually, as a chase group, you push on, because you've got no idea what is happening in that front group. And for all you know, they've sat up for the last 3, 4, 5 kilometers playing cat and mouse because they think there's a sprint coming. And you could well come onto the back of the group and go straight over the top. No spoilers as to what happened in one of the women's categories.
Okay. You'll have to watch it. Make sure you subscribe to the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. Let's go on there, click subscribe. It really, really helps us. And you get notified when we go live, not just with the men's and women's races on the Sunday Race Club. Also, if we're going out live on the YouTube channel with updates from outside. So interesting to see how those riders who are out there and racing, ride. Make sure you're watching. Make sure you've subscribed. Now, good to see Nick Scolari here on the bike.
It is. After his accident and fixing back together again, Nick Scolari, still his legs are working, he's riding strongly, and our best wishes for a full recovery. I mean, if you follow Nick's social media, you'll find out what's happened. And the surgery he's just been through. But I think the challenge is eating hot cross buns for Nick at the moment, not racing his bike.
Well, I'll tell you something, having spent plenty of time recovering from bouncing myself down the road plenty of times over the years, including relatively recently, like a year and a little bit ago. It does take some recovery, so be careful. Get yourself back racing. We want to see our riders in one piece all the way out and racing for plenty of time. Now, another attack on the front in category 2, right-hand side of your screen, Mr. X100, just clear of Ruben Dont. And Ruben Dont is definitely a rider that you know is going to be in with a sprint chance when we come into the finish. Going to be difficult, I think, for riders like Mr. X100 who are better at those longer distance efforts to keep riders like Dont at bay, whereas Bruce Bird has got a bit of a mix, more of a mix, I think, in his talent bag. However, Dont, I mean, he should just sit there and just wait for the sprint, surely.
Well, do you know what is really interesting? We were just talking about what were X100's tactics. Simon Volter is the rider we are in with at the moment, and you can see him up and out of the saddle and digging to stay in as they go up and over the bridge. But X100's tactics working. It's ensuring that the leading group push on. They are continuing to push, but the chase group is continuing to push because the gap is not changing. Every time we drop in with this leading group and catch a glimpse of what's happening behind, the gap is at 13 seconds. So, and it's still staying at 13 seconds, however much pushing this front group are doing. And take a look at Ruben Dont's face. That tells you how much pushing this group in category 2 are doing.
And you can just see as it came over the top there, he was at the saddle, sprints. He's just got to get over the top here. Really interesting. Oviedo there just saying his battery's dead. He's going to be able to jump in with this group on the way down the flat and on the descent. And that's going to help him. But that was some climb there. Real big effort. And I'll tell you something, Ruben Dont there, you can see the team sponsors in the background at the side and across his jersey, putting in a phenomenal performance here, sprinting his way up and over, and definitely been more the fly than the windshield in this group on that climb. Michael Vink, he's definitely the windshield. He's the man with his foot on the throttle at the moment in Category 1, leading the Category 1 lead race group on the left-hand side of our screens here. And at the moment, Vink not able to break clear.
No, he's not. And it's really interesting, isn't it? You know, one of the things I really love about the windows into the worlds of our riders is the fact that you actually see how hard they're working. You actually see the effort and the dedication and the commitment that goes into this level of racing, whether it's Cat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. The commitment and dedication from our riders and racers, absolutely fabulous. And the level they dig to when they dig in deep to race the Sunday Race Club, absolutely brilliant. Well, look at this. It's Knudsen, Vink, and Vujasin. The three riders locked together. They almost look like one avatar on your screen. They are clear of the chase group in Category 1. They've been out of the start pen for nearly 43 minutes, and the three riders are battling together just now. On the bottom corner of that screen of the Category 1 riders, you can see the chase group. They've got the full bend. They are out of sight at the moment.
Out of sight, but not out of mind, I am sure. Our riders competing at the moment. It's a big prize fund across all of our 6 race categories. Category 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 with their own individual prize funds. Prizes for the segment winners. Prizes for the overall sprint and climb winners. Also, prizes for the top 10 individual riders in the race in each category. And of course, when we get to those finals at the end of the month, then you have the team competition coming into play as well. That happens each and every week. Now, back in with Roshan Raj, Taron, the rider that as we were saying earlier on, had moved up a phenomenal performance previously, and certainly still looking just as strong at the moment, Emma, as before when you joined us. He's looking good at the moment, and he showed last month he's really is a talent to watch out for.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Dylan Kennett on our screen at the moment, we were talking about him earlier as well. Teron has now gone up to the Category 5, and I think he will just progress and progress and progress. Kennett, I think, will progress and progress and progress. He has historical form, you know, world-level form as a young rider. I think, here's my prediction, and I'm putting it out here. By the end of this year, we will see Kennett having gone from Category 6 to Category 3.
Oh, that's a bold prediction. No pressure, Dylan, mate. Honest gov.
He'll send me a message later and tell me why it won't happen.
Don't call it a comeback. That's a comeback. Go all the way up and through. But no, I agree. Class is permanent. Form is temporary. And that is shown time and time again with class riders coming back in. And of course, the discovery of class riders on esports, really interesting chat with Michael Vink about discovering his discovery on esports on the Inside the Ride podcast. Don't forget you can go in and download that. Currently moving to a every 2 weekly schedule, and of course you can get notified when that goes live, and of course you can catch it on wherever you get your podcasts. Really interesting chat as well on the Virtual Velo podcast with Dean Cunningham, who's one of our riders. Saw Dean on the start line a little bit earlier on today, but Dean on the Virtual Velo podcast with Emma and Chris Schwenker, and you can get that at the Virtual Velo podcast on Spotify, etc. as well. Really interesting chat with him about cycling esports as well. Good to have Dean on the Sunday Race Club as well. I'm sure his teammate is it not his teammate in Hayden Pucker, who also rides for the same squad, for Dean's squad? Sure it is. We'll find out. Now, two riders who have got a temporary alliance, who are teammates together, Mr. X100 and Bruce Bird, out of the saddle, kicking on, getting the pressure at the moment, and they've got the gap. Phil Graves currently in the chasing group, Graves, Don and Walter. And that gap has opened up pretty quickly, but we're at 37.3k. These two have broken the group up. We've still got to get to 50.3. I'm not sure of the wisdom of breaking. I mean, we're seeing all these groups break all the groups up. Maybe it's just the fat sprinter in me that makes me think I would want this to stay together. I don't want this to break up, but break up it has, and the riders are continuing to actually make that even more a thing.
Do you know what's really interesting? You're talking about breaking up. Category 2 for me traditionally isn't a race that normally breaks up. We normally see a group go into the finish and we normally see a sprint. And I'll tell you how close it normally is. So on Mount Fuji in the February final last week, let's just remember it was a 45.5 kilometre course with 1,018 metres of climbing. Category 2 in the team... In the team competition in Category 2, okay, so 3 riders, times added together in each team to give the team competition. The time that separated the leading team from the second place team was 49 seconds. That's how close Category 2 normally is.
And that's on a big climb. Now, Category 1 on our screens at the moment, Emma, I mean, this is usually a category where Michael Vink rides clear early and stays clear. At the moment, we're at 36.2k for Category 1. Michael Vink is still being shadowed. It's only 2 seconds back to line of Jassin, and 5 seconds to Michael Knudsen. Really
he's trying to do a Vink, though, isn't he?
At the moment. He is doing a Vink. Michael Vink doing a Vink. The Vinkinator doing Vink kind of things. But I have to say, it's going to be very, very interesting.
Well, Knudsen and Vink are on the same team, boss moves only. Vujasin is part and parcel of the Alpha Jaw squad. So Knudsen's not going to chase his own teammate down, is he? He's going to let Vujasin do the work.
I'm not sure.
It's like I can hear the cogs
how
whirring.
much. I'm trying to put this in words that are not just, no, I don't agree. Just to maybe elaborate on that point a little bit more. But basically, I think the thing is, team tactics are all very well and good when you're in the finals. But actually, if you're going to be up there and you're going to be racing out for the top 2 positions anyway, you need to be racing for yourself in those top 2
come on,
positions.
we see team tactics playing out week in, week out, regardless of whether it's the final or not. We just don't call it out.
We do when it has
an
effect. Yeah, we do, but it has an effect on the finish positions. And that, for me, is critical. Whereas here, I don't think it's going to change much whether they chase each other or not in terms of who's going to be up in the team, where they're going to finish in what will be a team position or where they're going to finish overall. It's just about between themselves almost. Really interesting to see. A bit like if we had, at the moment, Kennett and Pegasus. I mean, they're coming in towards the finish here in Category 6.
They are.
If they were on the same
meters.
team now, it wouldn't matter what team tactics they play. They're not going to play them because it's about who takes the win now. Now this is about...
Well, no, there comes a point,
doesn't
there, but there does come a point, doesn't there, where it's racer for racer, and that is the point because Kennett and Pegasus are coming in for the finish now, and there is less than 400 meters to go.
So here we are. It's qualifier race number 1. We are in Yas Marina, home of the Formula One race. We are going to see if we're going to get a Formula One finish. Are they going to rip up the tarmac like we see those cars? This marina that plays home to a regular race finishes, to training sessions. Here comes the banner. This is the run for the line. Less than 300 now. 200 meters to go. The sprint's unwinding, and Pegasus has got 12.5 watts per kilo. Kennett's coming in at 16. Will the track sprinter have his day? Dylan Kennett's got the climb jersey. He takes the win here today. First rider over the line in qualifier race number 1. Dylan Kennett takes the win. Those track legs came in to good use here today.
Well,
Great ride,
as
great
you
sprint
say.
in that category race.
Oh, that's category 6. I tell you what, it's category 5 that are moving on now and motoring. 48.6 kilometres they are at the moment. And Verham is putting the hammer down at the moment. The Belgian rider, Mukhtari, Dadson, Gibson, Johannes are all at the back. Look at the pack. They are pulling him back in. He's trying to get away, but it is a huge pack of Category 5 riders, and they've got Tom Verham in their sights.
If you're going to go hard and you're going to go at this stage, they're at 48.9k. You still got a k and a half to go. This is one of those moments. It's a bit like coming off the top of the Cipressa and Milan San Remo. If you go at that point, you've got to go. You do not back off and try and go again. This is key. You've got a group behind, I think, was 13, 14 riders there, Emma. That is going to be really, really tricky to get that back. They're at 49.2k, left-hand side of your screen. Leading group, big group coming in. What is going to be a group sprint. Meanwhile, right-hand side of your screen, Category 4 are absolutely ripping up the road at the moment. They're at 48.4k. Nicholas Van Haren, along with Mason Rocker, Joshua Haggerty, and Nicholas Spratt at the moment, all together in that Category 4. And it's going to be interesting to see if they're still together as they come in. Now, here we go. Dromard at the moment leading through. Sikora has got power. We know that. Anybody who can take a climb win on this circuit, on this course, is going to have power. They're going to have a kick. Have they got the space? This is going to be key here. 49.6k. We finish at 50.3. The countdown is now on. 600 meters to go. It's going to soon be 500 meters. They take the left turn, then the right turn. The motor racing circuit here that you can go ride on in Abu Dhabi, week in, week out. You can have your early morning leg stretch there. Who's going to stretch the legs for victory here today? We are going to come in long left-hand turn, and Sikora, the climb leader, the climb winner, has gone for a long one. He's got the gap. They're coming behind, but can they come quick enough? It looks like Jonas and Laszlo are trying to close him down. Sikora's timing is perfect. Artur Sikora, winner in Category 5, comes over the line. Jonas, Laszlo, Gomez, Verham, and Dadson come through. But look at that. He celebrates in style. Artur Sikora. And interestingly, both riders who've got the climbers jersey have both taken the overall win in Category 6 and in Category 5.
Well, they're sprint climbs today. We said that when we saw Paradians take that polka dot skin suit in Category 1 and these races in Category 5 and Category 6, proving that theory may well be true. While Von Haren opens up in Category 4 and he's absolutely dialing it. Haggerty's coming from behind. This is a long run from Von Haren. I don't know whether he's going to hold this because Haggerty is absolutely dialing it down at the moment. Haggerty maintains the sprint. Von Haren goes round the corner. Von Haren takes the right-hand bend. I think he's going to take it. Is he? Isn't he? What's going to happen between these two?
So Van Haren with that gap, he went early. Haggerty has come chasing. They've both dropped Rocker. They've both dropped Spratt. Their distance, but look at this. They're back together again. And Haggerty goes over the top. Van Haren's legs are blown. He's lost it. He went too early. Haggerty times it to perfection. Over the line he goes. Joshua Haggerty, the winner in Category 4. Van Haren holds off the chase behind. He takes second place. There's going to be a third place for Mason Rocker, and I think a fourth place there for the chaser behind. That was close. And that is a Category 4. The leaders in and over the line. So winners in Category 6, 5, and 4 so far.
Well, Patrick Bloom in category 3 is making his way now towards the finish. He's out on circuit at 48.6 kilometres. He is clear of the chase behind, but the chase behind, well, take a look at that. They are about, well, I would say 12 seconds behind. So Patrick Bloom leading category 3. A big pack of riders chasing him down as the push goes off the front of the chase group. The chase group are motoring now. They are about 150 metres behind him. It is Becker that is pushing on with Hansen and Clays. They are dialing it, but Bloom is pushing on at the front. There's a group of category 4 riders between them. Oh, it's going to be close to the finish.
Well, this is an interesting move. Going long is the way to beat the sprinters if you don't have that kick. If you think you can hold them off, but that is a massive ask. Interestingly, it was the climbs winner who was trying to close it down initially. The chase group, we're just in with Lewis Ridley, big sprinter, but it's a move now by LaPera on the front. He decides it's time to go up to close this down. Can he get back to Bloom? The gap is there still, and this could be Bloom's day. Will fortune favour the brave? It was a brave move. It was a long move by Bloom. He kicks again. This is where you've got to think, come on, Patrick. This is where it's going to count. How much has he got in the tank? LaPera, Velis, Sladik, Wozniak, Hansen, Clays is in there. This is a monster group of massive talent. They're less than 200 meters behind him, but time is running out. We're now less than 400 meters to go. It's going to be 300 meters very shortly. He's still unloading at the moment. He's giving it everything. Come on, Patrick, you've got to hold on to this. He's got 15 seconds now. Surely this is Patrick Bloom's. We saw him earlier. That face is covered in pain. You can see the effort here. He's gone long. He was the brave man who took it on at the front. He's going to solo in for victory. Patrick Bloom takes away the win here in Category 3 on Qualifier 1, the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
Well, it does indeed. And Guerra's opened the sprint behind. Guerra's opened the sprint. Goodall is there. Just come over the top of Guerra. Who's going to take that to finish second? It's a huge sprint. Mark Gates takes second place. Oh, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't, because David Goodall takes second place. Mark Gates takes third. Guerra takes fourth. Velez takes fifth in that sprint. It was indeed a 16-up sprint for second place.
So with categories 2 and category 1 a little bit further out, and at the moment we have got a little bit of time into the finish. Let's give you a quick round up of our riders who have come in through the finish so far to take away the category wins. In category 6, Dylan Kennett taking the win from Pegasoff in second. Then it was Fossiad in third. And they're your top 3 in category 6. In category 5, the category 5 win going to Artis Sikora ahead of Hughes Ioannis. And then coming in immediately behind the sprint winner, Christoph Laszlo. Then in category 4, coming through to take away the win in category 4, we saw Joshua Haggerty take that sprint from Nicholas Van Haren, and then Mason and Rocker taking third place. Category 3, that was the win you just saw for Patrick Bloom ahead of Goodall, Gates, Guerra, Velez, Place, Dummer, Sladek. But will Bruce Bird be our winner? Who can do this? Can he take away the win? He's got a way to go. He's got Mr. 600 sat behind him. This is going to be really interesting to see how this goes. The finishing line is actually just across the Marina circuit here for them. But this is a great circuit to go ride on. It's on my bucket list of things to do. Maybe next year, if we get to go out to the finals, we're going to be able to go ride around that. If you get out there, make sure you go ride at Hadaria Island and at Yas Marina Circuit. See if you can get around here as fast as Bruce Bird.
Well, Bruce Bird, resplendent in the Canadian kit and the red cap. And take a look, he has indeed the red socks, red shoes and red cap on his avatar as well. And really playing for the camera as well. And I love it. He's having a great race today. And he's obviously Really enjoying it. Che Holweiler on our screen at the moment as well, and he's up and out the saddle and working hard because Con Cayen's put in an attack at the front. Matthias Vanhy is there as well. So Holweiler goes to the fore, and it's Michael Vink they're chasing. Vink has caught Holweiler and Cayen's group, and he's now motoring there on one of the bridges, which add to the rises on this course at the moment. They've got just under 5 kilometres to go. So Holweiler now trying to stay in with Vink. Vink in the group. The question is whether he's going to sit here for a little while and take a bit of a draft in the group, or whether Vink is just going to carry on with Vink pace.
Well,
there
if
he
Vink
is.
does Vink stuff and sits and pushes on, which is what we're seeing.
Vink is doing
I
Vink
think you're
stuff.
right. He is indeed doing Vink stuff. Can anybody sit in his draft whilst Vink does Vink stuff and do their stuff in the draft of Vink? At the moment, Cayen's doing that. So is Solander. Santos almost there. Rios is feeling this. And this could be decisive for these positions in this group in Category 2 who've been caught by Michael Vink. If you can hold on, you're close enough to the finish to get a gap. And at the moment, Cayen's doing that. You can see he's buried himself to stay on Vink's wheel. They are the riders top left-hand side of your screens. As you can see, we've got Category 1 and 2. There are leading groups who are left out on the road. Bruce Bird at the moment on the top right-hand side of your screen is leading, and I think he's just putting in an attack to try and drop Mr. X100 as they come in towards the finish here. That's top right-hand side of your screen. Bottom right-hand side of your screen, you've got Don and Graves chasing. Then you've got left-hand side, Vink leading Category 1. And then below him, the chasers behind, Vajassin working to try and close the gap down here with company.
Well, can I just talk about closing the gap down? Because Ross Fawcett, Category 2, bottom right, is closing the gap down to Don and Graves. He was part and parcel of the third group on the road. So he wasn't part and parcel ever of the leading group. And we've seen Ross Fawcett do this. He gets stronger and stronger and stronger towards the end of the race. And you have to watch out because he's sneakily gone past the entire group before to take a win. I wouldn't put it past him to close the gap whilst Don and Graves play around in these final couple of kilometres. Ross Fawcett may be the one to watch there.
Definitely, and it does mean that Ruben Don can't just sit on the wheel of Graves and then unleash his sprint and take out Graves, who's known for those longer efforts. But as you say, Fawcett able to close that gap down. So qualifier race number 1 of March. All the times in March, of course, shifted to later in the day because it is a Ramadan, and that means that when we do know that there are people fasting through the daylight, this is a better time to be racing afterwards. The whole of March, the time shift also means it gives those riders on a different time zone who normally are maybe having to race at night the chance to race during the daytime as well. And that's going to be the same all the way through March, through to the end of the March. So do make sure you join us. If you want to be notified when we go live, make sure that you jump on and get subscribed to the Sunday Race Club. 4 race categories in through the finish, categories 3, 4, 5, and 6. We are watching Bruce Bird in category 2 making his way towards the line. He is ahead of the leader in category 1. That is Michael Vink. But the gaps are tenuous, and we have seen riders go early and blow before the finish and get overtaken. Bird is going to see if he can make it. I can't wait to see what face he makes as he goes in over the line here. He's got 300 metres. He's got 9 seconds on the nearest rider. This is Bruce Bird. He's entertained us all race long. He's not going to stop entertaining us. He's sprinting in for the line. He's giving it everything. Bruce Bird from Canada takes that maple leaf jersey all the way to the finish. He pats the wall. He throws the cap. What a ride. What a star. We love our characters on MyWhoosh on the Sunday Race Club. And our next character hits the line. Mr. X100 racing and animating the racing all the way to the finish. He comes through in second place as we drop back now to see, can Phil Graves wind the diesel engine up and take out Ruben Dont, who has been in all shades of uncomfortable racing on the way into the finish line here. This will be interesting. Who's going to blink first? It's Dont who's gone.
Don's gone. He's got a massive sprint. Look, there he is in real life. Don is absolutely dialing this. Phil Graves can't do anything to challenge Ruben Don. Ruben Don comes through for third place today in Category 2.
It's going to be a fifth place for Phil Graves, a sixth place for Ross Fawcett, who almost caught them on the way in. Seventh, eighth, and ninth. I think seventh place, I think, is going to go to SS. And it's going to be Walter Mayer. Well, it's not. It's going to be a whole mix of riders. I tell you something, as they all came diving over the top. We are going to check out the results, so you can do the same on www.mywhoosh.com and go to the results. Not far behind the leaders in Category 2. It's our solo leader in Category 1. He's got 16 seconds on the chasers, Michael Knudsen and Lionel Vujasin. They are also onto the circuit of the Yas Marina here on the Arabian World on the 7 Gems course. You can ride this. You can download the app on iOS, Android, and on Windows. You can pit yourself against these riders. You can see what you can do on the course. Can you keep up with the Vinkinator, who is heading off around this left-hand turn with a substantial lead? He's 500 metres, half a K to go to the finish. What's going to happen between Michael Knudsen and Lionel Vujasin? Second and third places. There's substantial prize money difference between those two places. They'll want to take it home. Michael Knudsen, I think, is the rider who's had the most top 10 finishes ever on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Will he be able to put one over on Lionel Vujasin? Well, exactly. Now, here we go. This is the finish line. Michael Knudsen in the yellow here. The Category 1 race winner. He's going to take his way in and through. 50.3K covered. Michael Vink underneath the banner takes away the win in Category 1. The sprint is on for Category 2. And look at this. It's Lionel Vujasin. He unleashes the sprint here. He has left Knudsen behind. Vujasin comes in second. And it's going to be Michael Knudsen, third spot on the podium.
Well, Ollie Jones launches the sprint from Safra Zaidi. It's these two now trying to get the rest of the places in the top 5. Tugels, Kaminsky, Van Elster all in the mix. Kaminsky's opened the sprint, so has Tugels, but you can see Jones in real life on the screen. But he's going to go over the top. Tugels is going to come over the top. He's coming. Can Ollie Jones hold this? Ollie Jones is going to hold it from Leonard Tugels. I think Ollie Jones holds that from Tugels. What a sprint, what cadence, absolutely phenomenal. So Vink in 1, Vujasin in 2, Knudsen in 3, Van Elst comes over and takes the sprint from Ollie Jones, Leonard Tugels, Mikhail Kaminsky, Said Safrazadi, Hayden Pucker, Harvard Glednis, Bjorn Andreasen, Christoph Kroll. Wow, 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 wow.
Some people love courses with big mountains. I love courses that produce racing all the way through from start to finish, and I think this course has done that.
59 seconds separating the top 15 Category 1 riders. That's got to be a first.
I'm sure it is, and I'm sure Emma, Professor Emma Martin, will be there diving through the stats to try and work out if that is a record. So thank you very much for joining Emma, Martin and myself, whether that's on the women's race or in the men's race. If you haven't watched the women's, make sure you head back across. You can probably join me watching it in about 2 minutes' time. Don't forget that we are here on split streams for the women's and men's races because they overlap each other all the way through March on our Ramadan timing. So do make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel for MyWhoosh. Do follow me on social media. It's at Matt Fixpayne. I love to keep up with what you're up to. Do give us a follow. Follow Emma at biking_Emma. You can join Emma for coaching. She's going to be coaching tomorrow at 12 UK, I guess. There we go.
12
I
UK,
got it right for a change.
1 o'clock Europe. Yep, new times for March. Consistent times every day of the week. So you don't have to remember which coach is on when. You know exactly every single day what time there's a coaching session.
Some amazing coaches in there, Emma, and of course, lots of our stars from the Sunday Race Club, lots of influential people from the world of esports as well. Don't forget that you can catch up with all that Sunday Race Club action over the duration on that YouTube channel. A massive thank you for watching. I hope wherever you are in the world, whatever time zone you're in, you'll be joining us over the next 4 qualifiers in March, and then for our finals. Catch up with all of the racing on MyWhoosh, and even better, jump on board and come and race, come and ride, come and do the live training, the coaching on MyWhoosh. Get it downloaded. We are going to grab an ice cream, catch up with the action that we missed on the overlap. You need to be back with us next week, but thank you so much for being with us. Big thank you to the production team behind the scenes for keeping it all stitched together. But from Emma, from myself, Matt Payne, stay safe. Ramadan Mubarak. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.